What's happening, everybody? Welcome into a brand new episode of Phightin Words Monday morning, October 6th. Anthony Sanfilippo is here. I'm Bob Wankel. Anthony, Dodgers 5, Phillies 3. Bullpen can't nail down key outs late. Missed opportunities left and right. Some questionable managerial decisions. Can't help but feel like the roster's just a tad short here when it matters most. Big names not doing it when it matters most. 2-8 in their last 10 postseason games now. 1-4 in their last 5 home games. You've probably heard all of this. I have one question for you. The Phillies cannot pull their collective heads out of their asses in the next 2 games, and they go out with a dud in 3 or 4, will this team go down as maybe the most disappointing, collectively speaking? Is this the most disappointing team in the history of the franchise? Are we on the brink of arriving at that? And I know I'm negative. I know I'm coming out with a negative tone, but I think that that's what is at stake for this team this week. That was absolutely pathetic on Saturday night, and they have 2 more games to fix it. They better fix it starting tonight.
They're getting closer to that point. I don't know if they're the most disappointing. I mean, it's hard to look past what the hell the Sixers have been for the last several years, right? I mean,
the Sixers are losers, and it's a loser organization. This is different. Like, this is an ownership that is trying to win, with players that you think are winners, with players that you feel like you should be able to get behind, with players that you've seen have regular season and postseason success. You know, we've seen it with our own eyes with this group. They've had moments. They've done the job. They've fallen flat and fallen short. And then last year, obviously, was what we saw on Saturday night. But to me, it's this, yeah, like, are they less disappointing than the Sixers? Sure, because, like, at least there's been moments, at least they're here. But my God, like, you just expect more. I don't, if you expect more out of the Sixers at this point, I think that's on you. This team, like, come on, you know, and what we saw Saturday night, it's not just that they lost game 1, it's how they lost the game. And it was everything that everybody feared from the tip going into this series, into this season, really. It was 162 games to get exactly what you feared the most coming into the season, which is why a lot of people didn't believe in this team to begin with.
I would say that there's a very fine line here over the next 6 days, if it goes that long. And it depending on how these games go will ultimately determine the answer to that question. Because let's be honest, they're facing a very good Dodgers team. The previous fallouts in the playoffs have rightfully so garnered frustration and aggravation because they were against teams the Phillies were significantly better than and just choked against. They may not be as good as the Dodgers. They probably aren't as good as the Dodgers, right?
I don't think they are.
Right. So if they battle here and it goes 5 games and they end up losing a close game 5, yeah, people are going to be upset and disappointed, but it would be harder for me to put them into the category of, I think, where you're heading with this conversation than it would be if they get bounced tonight because they don't hit, or, you know, and then get swept out in LA. And then I think it's a whole different conversation, right? So I think that when you say this legacy, quote unquote, is on the line these next couple of games, you're right in the sense that they can't get swept, because that if they do, then you're talking, I think then you're talking potential major changes here.
So I'm trying to, in real time, work through how I actually feel about what we saw on Saturday night and what it may mean for tonight and beyond. And on one hand, I do believe that the Dodgers are better than the Phillies. That's why I picked the Dodgers in 4. I wasn't necessarily surprised by what we saw on Saturday night. And there's no shame in losing to a Dodgers team that did underachieve for a great deal of the season. But I think now that you see the surplus of starting pitching transfer over to the bullpen, like this is a tough ask. They really don't have any weaknesses. So there is no shame in losing to a team like the Dodgers. However, there is shame when you have Kyle Schwarber just with absolutely atrocious at-bats the other night. Bryce Harper early in the game, horrible at-bats. He finally hits a bleeder through the right side and gets a base hit late. Trey Turner, abysmal at-bats, especially in a key spot. You know where I thought the Phillies lost the game the other night? And I know it's like a hot take because everyone's looking at the 7th inning. Like, I thought the Phillies lost the game the other night when they had the Dodgers on the ropes, up 3-0. You have 2 runners on base, and you have Turner and Schwarber up at the plate with an opportunity to deliver a knockout blow, and they had horrendous at-bats. And like, to me, like, you need to, when you play a team like the Dodgers, you have to tack on in those situations. And can you win a postseason baseball game with 3 runs? Yes. Like, in fact, you should, especially when you score the first 3. But to me, you have to find a way to keep the pressure on them and tilt the game's momentum, kind of really grab hold of it. They didn't do it. And then what happened with the bullpen late in the game is exactly what I expect to happen to the bullpen. No offense to Matt Strahm, who's like a fine pitcher and everything, but like, am I surprised that Matt Strahm didn't hold that lead in that spot? I'm not. Am I surprised that David Robertson coming back out for a 2nd inning after he gets out of a jam in the 6th inning was ineffective in the 7th? I'm not. Do I even really fault Rob Thomson for the way that he navigated that inning? It's not what I would have done. I would not have gone to David Robertson in an ideal world. The problem is that he's not living in an ideal world. So unless you didn't want Duran, or unless you wanted Duran to pitch 6 outs and go in the 8th and 9th, I don't really know what his other move was. Because were you trying to get Orion Kerkering into the game, holding a 1-run lead? Like, we've been down this road before. We know what that looks like. So it's a tough spot for them to be in.
A lot to unpack from what you just said.
I'm fired up today. I know I haven't really been bringing the juice the last couple of weeks.
No, it's good.
Yeah, now we're here, and now you got the juice.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. And I'll just pop up a couple of quick comments just because they'll relate to what you just said. What a rough weekend for Joe Carmazin says, what rough weekend for PA Sports. I said last week, I'll not be shocked or too upset, but very irritating when they had the momentum. And I think that that's fair. And then Amy says, if they lose game 5 and the top of the lineup goes over, then the conversation is different. And the criticism is they can never put the final nail in the coffin. Again, both accurate. Yeah. I want to start with where you finished, which was the decision in the 7th inning, because I think that's the thing that got people the most fired up, right? So let's break it down just a little bit. Robertson comes out, gets the last out of the 6th because Sanchez can't get through the 6th inning there. Robertson comes in, gets the last out on 6 pitches. Bottom of the 6th, Phillies go down 1-2-3, very quick inning, very, very fast. Bottom of the 6th. So now you're approaching the top of the 7th. So let's look at what Rob's options are at this point. So you're coming to the 8-9 hitters in the Dodgers lineup, and then Ohtani is sitting in the 3rd spot for the inning, right? Now, they're not your typical 8-9 hitters. Andy Pages is probably a little bit better than an 8 hitter. Will Smith came into the game. He's usually their cleanup hitters, right? So he's now batting 9. And then you get to Ohtani. And so if you don't send Robertson back out, you have to send a new pitcher out there, right? If you go to Strahm to start the inning with the intention of, I want him on Ohtani, that means 4 of the next 5 hitters are right-handed. Is it worth it to go to Strahm there, knowing that the only advantage you have matchup-wise is the one left on left with Ohtani, right? With the other 4 guys being right-handed. Do you go to Kerkering and then have to force Kerkering to face Ohtani in a 1-run game, which is probably not ideal, right? So his thought process was, since Robertson got 1 out in the 6th and he has to face 3 batters, he only has to face the first 2 guys. So even if he got the first 2 guys out, and he was never going to face Ohtani, sure. Strahm's getting ready in the bullpen there, right? So that's what the option is. They decided to go that. I'll give you one route that they didn't go that was none of the things that I mentioned that I would have gone in that spot. Ranger Suarez.
Is he healthy?
It's a great question.
Because if he is, then I agree with you. But I just don't know. I can't come on this show in a public forum and be like, how did they not go to Ranger Suarez in that spot? Like, was it a decoy to say like, yeah, he's on the table, and then after the game be like, oh, he wasn't really in play? Well, like, what was it? Like, is he available or is he not?
Well, so I'm not sure what the deal is there, and I want to get into that because there was more that came out of their Zoom press conference yesterday that is more perplexing about this, right? So like, to me, I think that's the easy answer because Suarez can get out both lefties and righties. You don't mind him facing the Mookie Bettses and Teoscar Hernandezes of the world. And then you still get the left on Ohtani. But they chose not to go that route. They chose instead to go to Robertson. I felt like the first at bat when he gives up the hit to Pages, he had a couple of pitches that were borderline, right? Could have been called either way. I'm not arguing that they should have been strikes, but they were so close that you could justify an umpire calling it a strike just as easily as you can justify him calling it a ball. And then he gives up the single, and then he hits Will Smith, which is, that to me is the killer, right? Like, it's like, okay, give Pages credit. It's a great at bat. He laid off two pitches that were just right there. He, hits a sharp single through the hole. Fine. Good on him. But the Will Smith at bat is the one that kills you when you hit that guy.
Yeah.
Can't have that happen. And then you find yourself in that spot. And look, Strom does a nice job on the first two hitters. He goes Ohtani Betts.
Yeah,
like, great. Strikes out Ohtani, gets Betts to pop out. Like, you couldn't ask for anything better until he completely misses a freaking pitch. And Teoscar Hernandez puts it into right field for a 3-run home run. That's it. That's the game right there.
Yeah.
And yeah, we could talk about the other things, the lineup.
Well, let's just stay on this let's just stay on this for a second, and then we'll turn the page and talk about the lineup and get into some other things here. But the issue is, and I hear the criticisms of Rob Thomson. I texted you the other night. I said, I don't know about Robertson coming back out for the 7th. Robertson has not been good enough, frankly, down the stretch to really evoke enough confidence for me to want to do that. He's been shaky. The problem is that what truly are your alternatives in that spot? Like, Duran's not going to get 6 outs for you on Saturday night. Could he get 4? Yeah, maybe. I think that's reasonable. Could he get 5? Maybe. But you can't go clean 8th, clean 9th with him. Like, he's done it a couple times. Sure, maybe. But, like, that's not – I just don't think that that's how you're going to use him there. The greater issue is that Robertson isn't good enough. Kerkering was not good enough this season to want to put him in that spot, and it's a killer because you're counting on him to be a high-leverage power arm that can miss bats, which they need in that spot. No, by the way, he pitched a great inning on Saturday night, but the one thing is that the damage had already been done. So I don't know what Kerkering looks like if he's in the game prior to that damage being done. The thing that I said a couple months ago, and boy, was I so wrong. What a stupid thing for me to say. I said when Zach Wheeler got hurt, that the Phillies would be able to withstand that injury. And it's nothing against Christopher Sanchez, but the one thing I could not help feel the other night was, boy, it would have been nice to have Jesus Luzardo available in that mix of pitchers in that spot. Because if Wheeler starts the game, number one, he probably gets you through 6. But number 2, Luzardo probably gets bumped to, well, he certainly gets bumped to at best game 3 because Sanchez is going to go game 2. And now you have a guy that can miss bats from the left side available out of the bullpen. They are one arm short out there. And if you are one arm short against this Dodgers lineup, more often than not, you're probably going to get beat.
So let me transition to the conversation about Ranger, because this is exactly what you're talking about, right? And so Rob says before the game 1, he says Ranger Suarez is available out of the bullpen today. Now, when he talked about it, he said, yeah, I was really only thinking about it early in the game, if like Sanchez had to come out early or in extra innings, not really in a leverage spot. But then he says yesterday that Suarez is once again available out of the bullpen in game 2, and that there's a possibility that he would be available in a leverage spot. It makes the whole thing even more perplexing, right? Yeah. Right. So now if you're really thinking about using one of your lefty starters out of the pen. In this case, they've chosen to think about Suarez as that guy and not Luzardo, because Luzardo has pitched so much better than Suarez at the end of the season, right? Fine. Then why not just say Aaron Nola's our game 3 starter and we have another lefty in the bullpen?
Yeah.
Right. Like, why go through this? Why keep it so up in the air? You know, I don't like thinking about, well, if I hold this guy and use it, like, you've got to win the game in front of you in a 5-game series. You can't be worrying about what's coming.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where I had a problem with this. I feel like their logic going back to Robertson was not faulty logic in the sense, right? It was not faulty to do that, but you had a better option and chose not to do it because you're thinking of something 2 games down the line that might or might not be a scenario that you're going to be facing. And that's where I have a problem with it. You have to win the game in the moment. You cannot worry about game 3 in the 7th inning of game 1.
What grade would you give Christopher Sanchez for his performance on Saturday night?
I thought it was a pretty good performance. I'd say probably a B+. You know, he did have an inning where he had a couple innings where he got a little bit of traffic, but got out of it. You know, struck out 8, right? Is that what it was? And
struck out 8, walked 2. Yeah,
walked 2. Yeah, I mean, he was fine. I mean, he started. You could see he started to lose it there in the 6th.
And I guess that's what's a little bit. Look, when you start to rank the most responsible culprits for that loss the other night, I'm not going to put him in the top 5 of it, but I will, say here, like, we want to talk about him being like a top 3 Cy Young type pitcher, and he was this year. You got to get through 6. You got to find a way to get that last out in the 6th inning, because that flips everything. I mean, it really does. You get the first 2 outs there, you walk Freeman, you give up the hit to Edman. And then, like, here comes Kike Hernandez, like, who stinks. And he's built for that moment. And he always gets a hit in that moment. Of course, he gets a hit in that moment again. And it transitions me into one other thing here. Because, like, again, this isn't a criticism of Christopher Sanchez, but, like, those 6th, 7th, and 8th innings is the difference between the Dodgers and the difference between the Dodgers and Phillies. Like, they get that hit. A lesser player comes up and has that moment. Where is that for this team? Like, Edmundo Sosa has an opportunity in the 8th, doesn't do it. A guy like Kike Hernandez, like, he's not a dude. Like, he's got a million big time postseason hits, but he's not a great player, and he does it. Like, they have that in them, and the Phillies recently, in recent postseason history, do not. And is it fair? Maybe not. It was 1 game. It's 1 game, right? Like, they could come back and win 10-2 tonight, win 1 in LA, send it back and win in 5. And we're all like, yo, this team's got it. They got that dog mentality, right? Like, they have an opportunity to rewrite the way that we're thinking about this. But, this team, man, like, my God, like, can you please for once come up in a big spot late in the game and do something when it matters?
Yeah, I mean, Rob did say he was thinking about taking Sanchez out before Kike Hernandez. He said that the reason he didn't was because he liked the matchup better there than against Alex Call, and so he wanted the reliever to only come in and get 1 out.
I'm not going to fall.
Right?
One thing I'm not going to do, though, I did not love the 7th inning. While being fair to Rob, that I don't know that he has great options in that moment, but I think he deserves some level of criticism. I'm not going to kill Rob Thomson for leaving Christopher Sanchez in the 6th inning against Kike Hernandez. Like, you expect your guy, who is your dude, to get that out in that spot. And if you're going to lose and get burned with Sanchez on the mound after the way he threw the ball in that game, I can live with that. Like, I can live with that spot, Hernandez getting that hit. I would not have lived with it had they gone to insert reliever here, whether it be Kirkering or Robertson or whoever the hell. I would have crushed him for that.
Yeah. I want to get to a few comments because people are throwing a bunch of comments in, so I wanted to get them in there. He said, this is Jim Cochran saying the BP may have blown the lead, the bullpen may have blown the lead, but The 1 through 4 hitters go 1 for 13 with 6 strikeouts. 2023, 2024 playing out again after doing nothing last offseason. The lineup is the problem. And he follows it up with, and this is where I want to push back just a little bit. He says over 40% of the total money this year is tied up in the 1 through 4 hitters, as well as a guy, Castellanos, who can't play every day. It's not one game. It's year 3 of this. I have a hard time blaming 3 years of failure on the top 3 guys in this lineup. There is some criticism for Trey Turner, but Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper have been sensational postseason players for the Phillies. They are the Phillies' all-time leaders in home runs in the playoffs. Like, Kyle Schwarber is one of the, even before his time here, he's like one of the all-time home run hitters in postseason history. Bryce Harper has a very good, his postseason numbers are fantastic. So to sit there and say that 3 years of the Phillies' failures are on top 3 guys in the lineup, I think is a little bit hyperbolic. There are other problems with the lineup. I wouldn't put all the blame on them. If you want to put the blame on them for one game, I think it's totally fair. They were not good in game 1. But to kind of say that 3 years of failure because of those 3 guys is I think, wrong.
Well, I think it's fair to criticize the lineup as a whole, or the offense as a whole, over the 3 years. As you go cold in 23, you're terrible against the Mets last season. They were bad at the top, especially on Saturday night. So to say the offense is the problem, I kind of agree. I mean, it's where I started the show. I said, like, look, the bullpen blows the game. Horrible. You had an opportunity to tack on in the 5th inning there. You didn't do it. They create a little traffic late. They couldn't come through. You look at what happened on Saturday night, though, and I mean, I thought Trey Turner, and I'm not totally surprised by this. Trey Turner had a great season. Good job. I think that you feel pretty good about Trey Turner directionally in year 3 of this contract. He's better defensively as well. He was not good Saturday night. He was bad. I mean, I know he had a walk late, but, key spot, doesn't get it done. Schwarber was god awful. I mean, I love Kyle Schwarber. I've talked about not only his impact in the lineup and how important he is to this entire mix, but what he is as a leader, and he has a big game feel and all of those things. And I think that he deserves that praise, but he was brutal on Saturday. He killed them Saturday. I mean, he absolutely killed them Saturday night. Now, I'm not ready to bury him yet. I'm not ready to bury. I am a little bit ready to bury the Phillies. I mean, by the way, like, I know some people DM me. They were like pretty upset about my negative outlook on this series after Friday's show. Like I said, Dodgers in 4 on Friday, before Saturday, and I'm right there still. So am I ready to shovel dirt on the Phillies? Like, a little bit, but like, I'm not ready to say that Kyle Schwarber is the reason the Phillies aren't going to win the series either. But look, one of 2 things has to happen. You either need a guy like Sosa to come through with a huge hit there in the 8th inning, or you need your dudes to be dudes. Like, if you want to get to where you want to go offensively, these are the 2 things that have to happen. You need to have the role players contribute, which I thought that they did enough of on Saturday night. Like, and to me, by the way, like, Real Muto is like he's not a role player, but he's not one of the main guys, right? Like, at this point in his career. So, like, you got that hit from him. You need those guys at the top to do it. Like, you just do. And
I mean, Marsh got a hit. Stott got a hit. Like, those guys, Kepler has a hit. Like, those bottom of the lineup got hits. Like, they all got on base. They all did their thing. The top of the lineup did not. And so, like, if you want to look at one game and say, Turner, Schwarber, Harper, you guys did nothing to contribute to this.
You know what it is? It's unfair to isolate one baseball game and start crushing guys from it. Because of it, I actually think it's unfair to even look at one baseball game and tie it into 4 games that happened a year ago. Like, there is a randomness in the sport. So, like, is it truly fair to, like, take one game, 4 bats, and be like, now I can say this about you? No, but like, that's the way it is. Like, that's the game. Like, you only get, it's a 5-game series. Like, you only get so many cracks at this. So I'm sorry. Like to be honest with you, like that is the way it is. And I don't blame, I believe his name was Jim. I don't blame him for feeling that way. I don't blame anybody watching or listening to this for saying these guys are a bunch of chokers. Like I know what they did, 55 home runs and bedlam at the bank and postseason this and that and records. Part of the reason that they have those records is because the Phillies are so dreadful through their postseason history that there's not that much to actually compare it to, by the way. But like it's true. They have been good postseason players, and statistically speaking, they've been. But like if you're like done with these guys, or you don't trust them or believe in them after Saturday night, like I can't kill you for that.
Yeah, no, I think that in the playoffs, we talk all season about how we can't have a football mentality with baseball, right? When looking at games and looking at series and things like that. I'm okay with having that mentality in the postseason because everything's magnified. Sure. Right? Like one game of a 5-game series is equivalent to 30 games in a major league season. Like that's a significant thing. Like so I'm okay at this point if fans want to be a little bit more, demonstrative in how they feel and expressing their emotions.
Yeah, it's not June 17th. It's not, July 6th in Pittsburgh getting swept. It's go time now.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, that's so I'm good with everybody being angry, but I also do have to remind, and like you just did, it was good that you did. It was just one game. Now, if it continues, and then the next time we record, and the series is over, then we got a different conversation, right?
Yeah.
But today, at the moment, you gotta be mad about the game, but not push it too far.
Yeah. Well, I posed the hypothetical as an intro point today, but I don't want to go down that road too far about like, well, if they were to go out in 3 or 4, what's that mean for Rob Thomson? What does that mean for this core? What does that mean for their offseason? Like there's going to be time to talk about that if it happens, and hopefully it doesn't.
Here's another comment I want to get to. K-Dub1323 says, this team looks cooked, same old disappearing offense when the lights are brightest. One thing I have to say about that is let's give credit where credit is due a little bit too. I mean, they faced Shohei Ohtani, and the guy pitched a pretty good game. Really good pitcher, best player in the sport, and he pitched a really good game. Do I think that they swung and missed at too many balls in the zone? I do. I think that there were some opportunities there that they missed on. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, it's what they should do. They should just go up there and start smacking the ball around against Shohei Ohtani. Anybody's going to find that problem, right? I mean, look at what the Yankees faced against Trey Savage yesterday. Look at what happened to Boston against Cam Schlittler, right? In their series. Like if a pitcher is dominant, sometimes. And you got to tip your hat sometimes there. You can't just sit there and say, oh, well, the track record is that they can't hit in October. You're facing the best pitchers in the game.
Well, I mean, like, look, obviously the Yankees and Blue Jays, they played a football game basically yesterday. But, you look at that Detroit and Seattle series, it's been a pair of 3-2 games. It's 1-1 now. Seattle up against it. Seattle's a big favorite in that series. They lose game 1. Now you have Scooble on the mound, and you're like, well, our season might be over. Like, we're in a lot of trouble here. I think coming into yesterday, the Phillies are in a more favorable spot than the Mariners were, but they bear down. And Scooble was awesome, right? Like he was really good, but they get 2 on him. Detroit claws back late, and they just find a way. Like they scored 3 runs. They only had 8 hits, but like they did it when it mattered. And I think that that's what people are looking for here. I don't think anybody expects the Phillies to go out and blitz. It's, blitz the opposing pitcher. When you look at the Dodgers staff and say like, all right, they need to score 8 runs. I want to see 5 home runs. Like that's unrealistic. That's an unrealistic expectation. But you've got to find a way to be more resourceful, make it count, make it hold up. And like, I think that's what people are looking for. I don't think anybody's going to kill the offense tonight if they win 3-2. I think what they're going to do is say like, all right, you situationally made it happen when you had to make it happen. And that's one thing that this team has not been able to do really since, I'll say although game 2 of the 23 NLCS was a bombing. they haven't really been able to do that when it's mattered. They haven't been able to push that run across situationally when it's mattered. Like, you're just like, I honestly did think that Sosa was going to come through in the 8th inning the other night. I did. I was like, you know what? It's time. They're due for this moment. They haven't had one of these moments now in about 10 postseason games, and they can't get it.
Yeah, he put a good swing on that ball. Yeah. I thought
he actually had a little hop to him after he made contact. And I was like, that thing's not going where you think it's going, buddy. But
yeah. But I think it's where he hit it to the wrong part of the ballpark. Yeah, you're right. Look, I get all of that. I'm with the fans on this one, right? Like it does seem to be the same thing, but
mind you, they probably score. I'm sorry, they probably score 1 run, by the way, of like Teoscar Hernandez, who wins the game, and good for him. But if he could like move it all in right field, they probably don't even score the 3 runs. They probably score 1 run.
Probably only get 1 run, right? Yeah, I mean, like, so I'm with you, but at the same time, like, I'm able to isolate these things over the course of over one season to the next. Like, I don't think that they're intertwined. I really don't. I don't think that what happened last year is indicative of what happens this year, or vice versa, or whatever. I just don't. I think these things are taken in isolation.
Yeah,
I really do. And so that's where I don't like that narrative that, just because they played bad in 2 games 2 years ago and 3 games last year, that they're going to play bad again this year. I'm not there. I just can never get there.
It is it's like watching the Eagles yesterday. Do you blame the offense because they were dreadful in the second half and couldn't run the ball and couldn't ice the clock? Or do you blame the defense because they were good all day, but then when it mattered most, they got carved up in critical situations? You go back to this Phillies team now from 23, 24, and 25. You blame the offense all you want. I mean, some of these guys haven't been good enough. They haven't bared down in key spots. They haven't delivered big hits. But what's the common thread in addition to that in all of these losses? Like Craig Kimbrell in 23, meltdown. Last year, Strom and Hoffman, Estevez, brutal. Strom, backbreaker the other night against Hernandez. Like, it's been both things. The only thing that they've actually gotten consistently is the starting pitching. It's been the offense. It's been the bullpen. And it's like, pick your poison. Which one do you want to point at? Because 3 runs could have won that game the other night. It should have won that game the other night.
Yeah.
And why we can do this whole like, well, you don't expect Turner, Schwarber, and Harper to go 1 for 11 with a walk. I also don't expect Shohei Ohtani to go 0 for and Mookie Betts to have a quiet night. Like, that's coming. That's coming down the pike. So you better have a response for that.
That's the thing, right? Like everybody's going to sit there and say, oh, the Phillies are the Dodgers' top 3 hitters were 1 for 11 too. Just so happens one of them was the big home run.
Right? Well, I can deal with 1 for 11 if it's going to be a 3-run homer,
right? But I mean, the Dodgers' top 3 hitters were bad too. Like, I mean, that's why I say, like, I look at a game. I look at it game by game. I don't sit there and say, I'm going to compare this to last year. I just can't do that. It's a bad narrative. And I know it's a fan narrative, and I know fans like to do that. It's a talk radio narrative. I know they like to do that. I just can't. I don't think that you can tie in the year over year with certain players. You just can't. There's enough change. There's enough different from one year to the next. Certain guys play better in one season than another season, whatever. Like, there's a lot changes in a calendar year. And so, like, I don't tie the two together. Never do. Never do. I will sit there and I'll tell you that they played poorly and they should win, or they shouldn't, or they should have done better. But that doesn't mean that that just because it happened a year ago. You could sit there and say that for every team that doesn't win a championship, that the next year, if they don't win it again, that, it's the same thing as last. It's an easy cop-out narrative, right? It's easy.
I hear you, and I don't disagree. You look ahead to tonight. You look ahead to game 2. You have Blake Snell. You have Jesus Luzardo. I think it's, Snell's obviously been really good. He has the pedigree. It's going to be a tough matchup for the Phillies. And then Luzardo, you hope that you get the guy that he's capable of being. They are not favored tonight. The Dodgers are now minus 320 to win the series. And I did offer this on Friday. And maybe if you're looking for an optimistic viewpoint here, it feels like that when the Phillies should win, they were favored in game 1, by the way. Feels like that in recent history in the postseason, when the Phillies are supposed to win, they typically don't. And when you start to feel good about them, they don't. And I'm hopeful that tonight that I think they're all in some ways all the pressure in the world is on them and they know it. But in some ways, like they have to get back to a mindset of like, look, this is the defending World Series champ. Everyone's kind of saying we're the same old this and that. Like we're a bunch of losers. And find a way to like harness that a little bit and just go out there and let it rip. I mean, like that's what they've kind of got to get back to. And I wonder where they're at mentally. I wonder where they're at mentally coming in to game one. I wonder where they're at today. Like, is the doubt creeping in, or do they kind of loosen up here and say, you know what? People are kind of, I mean, I think that this, I don't know that the city, that Phillies fans in general are like out on the Phillies. Like, I don't get that sense. I think people will show up tonight, be ready to roll, ready to rock. I think a lot of people believe they can still get back into the series and win it. But like, I just hope for their sake that they're able to kind of flip the script here a little bit, because they have not been good. I mean, the reality of it is that they have not been good when the expectation is that they will win the game. I think you muted yourself.
All right, there we go. I was accidental. Yeah, I don't think that this is a team that doubts itself. Like, no, being around these guys on a regular basis, this is a confident group, and they've faced adversity in the past and done well with it, right? Like, I'm not sitting there going, oh, they're doing it again. Here we go again. Woe is us. Like, that's not this team. They may get that way after they lose a series. Like, they were pretty miserable up in Citi Field last year when we talked to every guy in that locker room. Was pretty like, holy shit, what did we just do? Like, how did this happen? And you were there, I believe, if you remember Bob against Arizona, what that was like, right? And there was a lot of disbelief, yes. Right? And so that's what I'll say is, like, they still believe, and even if they lose tonight, they're the kind of team that believes that they have the makeup to win 3 in a row. Even though you and I can sit there and go, ain't no prayer, you're winning 3 straight against the Dodgers. They don't believe that. They believe that they can. So I don't think that doubt creeps into their minds at all. But when you look at tonight, here's where it's tricky for me. So the Dodgers were able to beat the Phillies. Ohtani was able to get the Phillies to swing and miss at a lot of pitches in the zone. That's not how Blake Snell pitches. Blake Snell pitches by getting you to chase out of the zone.
Yes.
So the question for me, the big thing for everybody to watch in this game is, are they going to be as disciplined as they've been in recent games and not chase pitches out of the zone, force Blake Snell to throw pitches over the plate, and then make contact? There's a different. Blake Snell's not Ohtani. He's not blowing your doors off. He gets you to chase a lot, but he also walks a lot of guys too, because he's a little bit more of a nibbler. So, like, I want to see how if they stay patient. That's the one thing. If you want to have a criticism of the Phillies when their offense is not going well, I think they get impatient. They try to play a little bit of hero ball, right? And I think that's a fair criticism. If they could stay patient with Blake Snell, and Snell's not a guy who usually goes long in games. I know he went 7 innings against the Phillies out in Los Angeles a couple weeks ago. But he can run his pitch. You run his pitch count up and then get into that bullpen sooner, I think the Phillies have a much better chance of winning this game. As a matter of fact, Bob, and even though I picked the Dodgers to win this series, I'll tell you right now, I think the Phillies win tonight. And I think that they win tonight comfortably.
Okay. All right. I
don't mean like I don't think a blowout, but I think I could see this being like
I think the listeners needed that, to be honest.
I could be like 6-2. Right, kind of game. Like what I think it could be something like that, right?
Well, I wonder how important is it that Harrison Bader is healthy tonight? I don't want to act like the guy's Mike Trout here, but when you consider what it would look like without him, you probably get Brandon Marsh in center field, even with Snell on the mound. I suppose we get Wesson Wilson in left, and then Nick Castellanos, one way or the other, is going to be in right field tonight, I would imagine. To me, I feel a lot better.
I bet you Sosa's at second too.
Yeah, and Sosa will be at second. And you can navigate that in the middle innings as the game progresses. But I think that's how you start. I feel a lot better with, and no knock on Brandon Marsh, who, like, again, has been really good, and it's not about him necessarily, but I just feel like you need Bader out there tonight. Like, if he's healthy, I mean, if he's like 85% healthy, he's got to be the guy.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think that's crucial for them. Look, if you were so untrusting of Brandon Marsh against a left-handed relief pitcher that you pinch hit for him with Edmundo Sosa in the most important at bat of the game, you don't want him out there against Blake Snell, right? Like, I mean, it's the same right? Same thing. So yeah, I agree that Bader matters a lot. I don't know. I mean, maybe you just stick Marsh at the bottom of the lineup and just say we'll deal with it, and Bader can pinch hit at some point. But that's not ideal. You need Bader in the lineup against a lefty, I think.
I think about what it looks like if this goes poorly, if it goes south, and there's just so many different ways to look at it. Like the bullpen mix being what it is. Talking about your most important game of the season, your outfield could look like Weston Wilson, Brandon Marsh, Nick Castellanos. Like, is that a championship outfield? Even if Harrison Bader's healthy, like, I know this outfield's been better the last like 2 months, and so this isn't entirely fair. But like, again, like Wilson, Bader, Castellanos, like, Jesus.
Might have to bring back the sound effect.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad. It's bad. It's just so bad. I don't share your optimism, Anthony. I don't know. Like, I think I'm probably like all emotional. Like, you know, I'm Mr. Eagles fan too. Like yesterday, like I'm not. By the way, like you're like, get over yourself if like you're upset about the Eagles like too much today. Like they hadn't lost a game in a year that Jalen Hurts started and finished. It'll be all right, maybe. But like Saturday night, like I will say this, I was not angry. Like the Mets series, I was like, geez, like I was like, I had like a physical reaction to that Mets series. Last Saturday night, I was like, yep, that's about right. Like I didn't get angry. Like I wasn't blowing up your phone. I wasn't on Twitter like ripping people to shreds. Like just like, yeah, that's what it is. Like that, I'm not surprised. And in light of that, I kind of just look at tonight and I'm like, they're not going to win tonight. Like I get it. Like I get the path to winning a game 6-2, 6-3 tonight. And I get why they should, but like, I'll believe it when I say it. That's where I'm at. I personally think they're going to get swept now because I thought, I mean, I'm to be honest with you, I thought that they were going to lose in 4 and having won Saturday night. So I have to play off of that. I hope I'm wrong. And I hate even saying this on the show. I actually consider like, maybe I should just like lie and just like about how I feel and be like, they can do it. Like, let's go get it. Because I think people would rather hear that. I do. I think that people would rather hear, because you're not coming here to eulogize the 25 Phillies this morning. They're down 1-0 in a best of 5, and they're at home tonight, and they could have 2 more home games in this series. Like, and they have 96 wins, and they've been down this road before. Like, there's like hope here. I just personally just don't see it. And
yeah, well, I'm with you that I don't see them coming back and winning the series, but I do think that they will make it a series. Like I really do believe that. Jesus Luzardo starting this game tonight. Would they love to get length out of him? Yes, but I gotta think that there is a plan in place to do some sort of piggyback if he doesn't come out firing on all cylinders right away. Now the question is, Bob, what does that piggyback look like?
Well, I think how much does the storyline, the contracts, and all of that matter? I guess. Do you piggyback Jesus Luzardo with Walker Buehler against his former team? And let's say that doesn't work out. Like, let's say the Dodgers get all over Walker Buehler. And then the talk will be, well, again, you went into a playoff series against the Los Angeles Dodgers team that wants to get its effing trophy back, spending all this money, and the best you could do was Walker Buehler in a absolute backs against the wall situation. Because if he's in the game early, that's what it is. You're down 1-0 and your starting pitcher did not perform.
Unless do you think, look, I believe that they want to have as little bullpen usage as possible. I believe that. But let's remember a couple years ago when they went into Atlanta for game 1 and they didn't tell Ranger Suarez that they were pulling him after, one time through the lineup or whatever. And then they play the matchup game and piecemealed it to a gutsy win in that first game that nobody saw coming. We didn't see it. Nobody nobody knew about it. It was like top secret plan. And in retrospect, when we looked at it, we said that was ballsy. It worked, but it was ballsy. Could you see them potentially doing something like that again tonight?
Maybe. I mean, you have to exhaust all options here. Does doing that sound better than? I mean, I would not pull Luzardo one time through the order if he's pitching well, though. That's the difference.
Right.
There's just not enough depth here to do this. Like, I just don't think there's enough depth. But I still think Aaron Nola is going to be a factor in this series. I don't know what that looks like yet. Maybe it's tonight. Maybe it's game 3, backing up Suarez. I mean, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, like you go back and look at those series against the Braves and, look, like they were resourceful. They made it work. Like some of the best managerial moments, I think, of Rob Thomson's career came in that series. And that's that Suarez game. I mean, I thought that was maybe his best game as a Phillies manager. I think at the end of the day, though, like if you get eliminated here, you're just going to have to face the reality of it, which is like we were built on our starting pitching and our high-priced offensive stars, and our starting pitching was hurt by Zach Wheeler's departure. Just can't get around that. And our dude couldn't get out Kike Hernandez in the 6th inning, and our guys at the top didn't perform. Like that's going to be the way this series goes down. I don't know. I mean, to your question, yeah, like is that possible? Sure, it's possible. And I think that they're going to have to get very creative. Like they're going to have to manage this game with the utmost urgency tonight.
Yeah, and I will say this, because this, again, I said earlier, for those of you who joined us late, that the thing that bothered me the most about the way that they managed game 1 is Rob was managing game 1 thinking about what was ahead and not about the moment. Yeah. Tonight, if they want to win, he has to manage the moment.
Yeah.
He has to you don't worry about game 3, game 4, whatever. You worry about game 2.
I'll take that a step further. I almost wonder at a more like micro level, do you not worry about the 8th to get through the 7th? Do you not worry? Like, I know that that's risky. Like you can really leave yourself in a vulnerable spot later in the game. But to me, it's like, you got to get the outs in front of you. And if by doing that, you're putting more pressure on your offense, then so be it. Like, I really think that that's something that may come into play. You get to the 5th, 6th, 7th inning, and it's like, do I use my best guy now if you're holding a lead or you're preserving a lead? Do I use him now and go for it, and I'm just going to deal with the next thing next? I wonder. I mean, short of using like Duran in the 7th inning. Like, I'm not saying that he does that, but like maybe Duran, you still have the 9th and bleed into the 8th. But everything in front of that, I think, needs to be in play.
Yeah, I agree.
There could be a moment tonight where, take a page out of the way it used to be. You and I would be sitting next to each other, and I'd be like, it's about to get weird here now. Like, they might have to do a situation tonight where you're like, well, this isn't how you draw it up, but let's get weird. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think that Rob was right to say yesterday when he was asked, everybody's available to pitch except for Sanchez.
Yeah.
So 11 pitchers are available today. And I think you are going to see some weirdness in some capacity. So
good. All right.
Yeah.
So you got the Phillies tonight. Now, do you have the Dodgers in 4, Dodgers in 5?
5. I had the Dodgers in 5. Yeah. Ryan Safranco said, how much has Alvarado's suspension and Painter's unreadiness hindered this team's chances in the postseason? You look at Savage yesterday and can't help but be jealous.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, it's fair. The bullpen as constructed is not, I don't think, a championship caliber bullpen, right? But And this is a criticism of the Phillies, but also while being fair to the Phillies, like this wasn't the plan. Like the plan was to have Zach Wheeler to create additional depth. The plan once upon a time was that Andrew Painter would be a part of this, creating additional depth. Like we had said back in May, like two of these guys in this rotation, or two guys that aren't a factor right now, internally are going to become a factor. And then, oh, by the way, you'll go out and do an outside addition as well. And that's how you're going to have your championship caliber bullpen. Well, things have changed, like Painter did not take that step, and maybe shame on them for anticipating that he would. I know that they've tried to backtrack on that a little bit, in recent weeks that, well, we said he could be July-ish, doesn't mean he will be. Let's be real. Like they had planned on him being up here at some point. So I think between the Wheeler injury and then obviously Painter's lack of progression, it's a killer for them. And then Alvarado's suspension too, but they've had ample time to bake that into their plans. But yes, I mean, you could you have used a high leverage left-handed reliever that throws 101 miles an hour last night? Yeah, I'm sorry, on Saturday night. Could you have used that? You sure could have. I mean, that's a killer. It all shows up, and it shows up more because of what has happened with Wheeler and Painter since then.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And one thing I want to address this with PSU Flyers. He says that requires being immediately responsive to the momentum in the game. And that's where Rob struggles. He's always late. I will tell you with 100% certainty that this is all mapped out by computer before the game. This is not, there is no in the moment, like figuring it out and thinking about it or whatever. It is every scenario and situation is thought about in advance. They have all of this worked out, mapped out. You may not agree with it. You may think it's the wrong choice. I may think it's the wrong choice, whatever. But they're not going into this and just saying, let's make a decision on the fly. That's not happening. The only time that happens is if there's like an injury and they have to adjust and whatever, then they have to make those decisions in the moment. But for 99% of the time, it is pre-planned.
So next season, ChatGPT should just manage the Phillies.
It already does. It already does.
We didn't even talk about tipping pitches. I really don't want to. I don't care.
I don't think that he was.
Don't stop by 2 feet. And we don't need to talk about tipping pitches.
Yeah, I don't think he was. Did you see? By the way, did you see him respond to Ben Verlander on Twitter?
No, Ben Verlander stinks though.
Matt Strahm responded to Ben Verlander on Twitter. It was hysterical.
What did it say? Was it like did it make you like Strahm more, or was it like some of the other tweets where you're like, oh, okay?
Well, he basically said, "Hey Ben, I know pitching didn't work out for you, but if you knew ball," and then he explained what happened.
I don't know. I mean, do I really think that the tipping thing was a factor there? I don't. At the same time, maybe don't worry about the Twitter discourse after the game and just adjust and spend the next 48 hours trying to figure out how you can be better in that spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I part of me gets it. Like, part of me, like, if I'm trying to think I'm trying to put myself in a player's shoes, right? To sit there and say ignore social media is.
You'd have to take the phone away from me if I played. Like, I would clap back at everyone all the time. I'd be. People would be like, this guy is the softest person on earth, because I would have something to say for everyone.
Right. And I feel like I would too. I mean, you may be a little bit more direct with people.
Yeah.
I try to talk it through and try to explain. I know some people don't like an explanation. Some people feel like that they're being talked down to with that. And I'm not trying to talk down to anyone. I'm just trying to offer an explanation as to why something happened. Whether you agree with it or not is fine. But I feel like I would probably do that too. And I think Strum is more that kind of guy. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with him going out there and challenging, especially it's not like he was challenging a fan here, right? He was challenging Ben Verlander. Yeah. So I'm cool with it. Even if it was a little snarky.
Is that his handle? Flipping bats?
Yeah. Even if it was a little snarky, I was good with it.
Ben Verlander's greatest baseball achievement was hitting a inter-squad scrimmage home run off of his brother. Isn't that like his thing, his go-to?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like Matt Strahm, like, don't give up a 3-run homer and crush your team for the second straight October too,
Yeah.
So
exactly.
There's that.
Yeah.
All right. So you got Phillies win tonight. I don't. I'm a miserable person. I'll talk to you guys on Friday.
Yeah.
What do you got? One
No,
last thing. Get me out of here.
I do have one last thing, and it's something that bothers me every October. And I think I've probably done this on our show last October, the October before that, maybe every October dating back to when we started in 2018, Bob. But what bothers me is how managers just in general make pitching decisions, or how teams in general make pitching decisions. Because it's not always, like I just pointed out, it's not always the manager. In fact, it's rarely the manager. It's a collective that makes these decisions. But I'll give you one that I thought was just flat out dumb and could well cost a team the opportunity to advance. Chicago Cubs going into the series against Milwaukee Brewers. And I know the Cubs don't have great starting pitching, but they throw Matthew Boyd, who's had a nice season, really has had a good season, on 3 days rest. Who the hell is Matthew Boyd that you're going to sit there and go, Craig Counsell and your group, oh, let's throw this guy on 3 days rest. That's the smart way to jump out 1-0 against the team with the best record in baseball. Are you kidding me? I would rather you started your number 4 starter, whoever it was, right, that you were going to turn to in that moment, then and bullpen it the rest of the way, than to ask a guy who has never in his life thrown on 3 days rest to throw on 3 days rest in game 1 of a series against the team with the best record in baseball in their ballpark. Like, and so it's not just, I don't want to just criticize Craig Counsell here and the Cubs, because that's just one example. I feel like this happens all across the sport. And it's almost as if they get stupid in the postseason.
Yeah, that was all I was really going to add to this. I don't have a lot to say, but I agree. We see this with the Rays almost every postseason. All of those years they were in, we were like, all right, like I get it. You have the arsenal, you have the options, but like you're putting yourself into a pretzel here. You're overcomplicating this.
Yes.
It's weird how the game is played. And I know, especially when you get to 5-game series and 3-game series, you're right. Like, it's like everyone just gets goofy all of a sudden. There's no like stay the course. Hey, we trust our 3 guys. Let's use them where we should. Like, keep them in their rhythm. Everyone goes crazy. Except for the Phillies and Rob Thomson, who got to get Robertson back out there in the 7th because he pitches the 7th.
I mean, do you think it's the justification for it is, every team knows each other so well that we're going to try and do something different to kind of keep them, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the I can't come up with a rationale. Like, if I were running a team, this is probably why I don't run a team, but if I were running a team, I would be of the mindset of, I'm going with what got us here.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and change the calculus just to try and win this. Like, yeah, in a moment, is there a possibility I do something a little bit different if I have to? Because, like, the game.
Or you talk about mapping out pregame, and what really goes into that. Yes, there's a human conversation in terms of like, well, we think he can handle this spot, or we like him, against this hitter. But like, that it goes beyond just like the conversation element of it. You have pages and pages and pages and lines of data that talks about this pitch with this amount of run against that swing path. Like, it's not just like situational splits. It's like it's a science experiment. And I wonder if you get into these, you talk about like the familiarity maybe being part of it. And I agree, but I just think that maybe there is such a short sample with so much at stake that we're going to lean even further into the numbers and into the actual matchup data about spin rate versus this swing profile. And then they just have all this information and they're like, well, let's use it. And I think that maybe that's to some degree what happens as well.
Yeah, I agree. It's just so
I go from a product standpoint, you're like, I want my killer to go out there and shove 8 innings. And
like I could go back to like 2016 when the Cubs overused Aroldis Chapman. in the playoff and almost cost themselves a World Series because of it. Like, I mean, it's crazy to me. And this is not, like I said, it's not new and it's not one team, but it happens so frequently. And I can't tell you how many times every season I watch these games and I watch what they're doing. I'm saying, what the hell are they thinking?
Yeah.
Even the Dodgers, Bob, they get a situation where, Trey Turner works that walk against Glass now, right? To get on base in the 8th inning?
Yeah.
In game 1. They have 5 lefties in the bullpen. They don't even have one up and ready for Schwarber and Harper. They're just going to stick with it. Now it worked out, right? Yeah. Schwarber and Harper didn't, Schwarber made it out. Harper gets the single.
Maybe that was the product. I hate this bullpen so much that I'm just going to use my best available guy. And if he can do it, he can do it. And if he can't, he can't.
Yeah, I guess, but it's like I'm sitting there saying to myself, even that was unconventional.
Yeah.
Even that was like, What are you doing? Eventually brings Vesia into the game anyway. So I was like, why not have him ready there? And then you make a call. It's just crazy.
All right. Well, I have a bonus, one last thing, and I typically am a guy who likes to veer away from the common Twitter criticisms and takes, but I agree with the take that I saw on post game Saturday night. The pyrotechnics out in center field with Duran down 2 runs. Like, I'm afraid that Red October has jumped the shark here. Like, what are we doing? Like, that was one of the lamest things I've ever seen.
Read the room.
Like, what are we doing? Like, we're better than that. Are we not better than that in the city where we pride ourselves on true passion and intensity? And you're ripping the flamethrower out in center field down 2 runs when nobody's getting fired up for that. Nobody's like, how many people in the park were like, ooh, stick. Let's go get these 3 outs and take our hacks in the 9th. Like, I know they invested in it, but just because you invested in it doesn't mean you have to use it.
Correct. I would have not done the light show, period.
It was super lame. Actually, maybe even more so on Saturday in real time was I more annoyed with that than I was with the play. Because when I saw that go off, I was like, this isn't a home field advantage anymore. Like, nobody's scared. Everyone's just coming in here and winning. And now they're doing this stuff. It's like manufactured excitement. It's lame. Tonight, if you're down, don't do that again.
Yeah.
Save it for next year.
Yeah. Do not do it if you're down.
Yeah. So lame. Come on, seriously.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
I'm with you.
I'm done. Hopefully they play better tonight and I'll be in a better mood. And we're going to do another show, right? Before.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Depends. It just depends on, I'll be out in LA.
Get on a plane and
I fly back on Friday. So that Friday could be a sticky time. Although maybe not. Maybe if I could do it in the morning from the hotel before my flight's not until 12 o'clock West Coast time. So I could probably do it earlier on Friday morning from there.
If there's a subject matter to discuss, maybe we can do one after game 2 here.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Right.
We'll figure it out. I'll be ready. I'll be ready.
All right. So, I got to go to work. Get me out of here.
All right. Yeah. So do I. I got stuff to do as well. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Phightin Words. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, wherever you get your podcast. Best place right here on YouTube. Click that thumbs up, ring the bell. Make sure you never miss a show. Get the alert every time Bob and I go live. If you're listening in the YouTube feed or listening in the podcast feed, you want to find us on YouTube. It's youtube.com/@Phightin Words. For Bob Wankel, I'm Anthony Sanfilippo saying enjoy game 2 of the NLDS tonight. Try to enjoy game 2 of the NLDS. Bob, try to enjoy game 2 tonight. I gotta
get done work so I can start drinking.
I expect my phone to be blown up tonight throughout this game. I really do.
3 texts the other night. I was like, look,
you were good the other night, but I think tonight is going to be salty.
Tonight's going to be the anger phase. Yeah.
Salty Bob tonight. So, but everyone else should enjoy the game, and we will be back with you at some point later this week to talk about the rest of this series, maybe game by game. We'll see how it goes. So for Bob, I'm Anthony saying thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time, everyone.